Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, give me that, give me that, give me that. Hey, all right, y'all. All right, y'all. What's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Happy Friday to you. Well, kind of a happy Friday. I mean, we're in the land of the living. We got opportunity to see another day. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping. And then, there's the other half where we got to talk about today. Right tackle Ryan Ramczyk will be out for the season, man. This is very, very tough stuff right here. It was kind of expected, which we'll get into a little bit later on in the show, but just want to give a special shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Special shouts out to you. Let me call some names out, people that's here right now. We got Trav, Cartel, Jerry. We also have Bucks, Rays, and Boats here. Thank you for being here. Rap, we got you up in here. Let's see, and Linda so far. But I ask that you all hit the like button for those that are watching right now. Those that are in the chat, hit the like button. I really appreciate that. We're a very interactive show, and I want to say a special shout out to all those that are coming over here from the Gumbo Pie Sports podcast. This is a NFL story, so that's the reason why I'm doing it live here on the Gumbo Pod as well. I mean, this is something that affects the entire NFL because of Ryan Ramczyk and his talent. So shouts out to everybody in the Gumbo Pod that's over here right now on the live as well. We're a very interactive show. All you have to do is go ahead and put those comments in the chat. Hey, what's going on? It's TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and we're about to do what it do, baby. You probably have something to say about the black and gold that's burning hard in your soul. Take those fingers, give them the working. Put them comments in the chat.
Put those comments, put them in the chat.
All you got to do is go ahead and put them things in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not your bad.
Oh, you ain't got to worry about it. All you got to do is talk to me. I talk back to you now.
Put those comments, put them in the chat.
All you got to do is put them comments in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not your bad.
Talk to me. I guarantee you. I'm going to talk right back to you.
Nice.
Yes, it is plain and simple. All you have to do is put those comments in the chat. But of course, got to give a special shout out to all the people that ain't here right now. Probably going to be catching this show when it's all said and done. Shouts out to them after show boys.
Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out
To them after show boys, shots out, shots out, shots out, shots out, shots out. To them after show boys, they be tweet and be posting, they be tweet and be posting, they be tweet. Yeah, them after show boys, they be tweet and be posting, they be tweet and be posting, they be tweet. Yeah, them after show boys. What other podcast gonna have y'all rocking like this? Before the show even start. But let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. All jokes aside here, all jokes aside. Saints right tackle Ryan Ramczyk will miss the entire season. I'm going to go ahead and pull up this report that was put out by ESPN's Catherine Terrell. Let me go ahead and put that up on the screen so we can read along here. Very sad stuff, man. Very, very, very sad stuff here. But the New Orleans Saints on Thursday plays right tackle Ryan Ramczyk on reserve, physically unable to perform list. The move means Ryan Ramczyk will miss the entire season. He's a vested veteran and was placed on the reserve pup prior to the final roster cuts. Ryan Ramczyk remained away from the Saints headquarters throughout the offseason while attempting to rehabilitate from a procedure last winter that was meant to alleviate a knee injury that has lingered for more than a year, limiting his practice time during game weeks. And of course, we know, Dennis Allen said during offseason workouts that it was unclear whether Ramczyk would be available by the opening practice training camp in July in Irvine, California. Ryan Ramczyk, 2019 All-Pro, has started since his rookie season in 2017. So there you go right there. Ryan Ramczyk started since he was a rookie, started in 101 games to be exact, but he will miss, it's unfortunate here, but he will miss the remainder of the season. Sad stuff, man. Sad stuff. Sad stuff right there. Ryan Ramczyk started in 101 games throughout his NFL career. One of the best right tackles in football during this time. Definitely could have been a possible Hall of Famer if, he didn't have those injury issues. But I think we all kind of seen the writing on the wall for Ryan Ramczyk, especially like starting off back in March. When he signed that deal where he got $6.5 million in signing bonus and $9 million in incentives. Like, if you're that type of talent that Ryan Ramczyk is, like, you're not trying to play with all those incentives. So we kind of knew something was going on there. The fact that he hasn't been around a facility at all. Me personally, I would just go ahead and I'll shoot for the stars here. I really just feel like he's already retired. But the fact is, if he was to retire this season, the Saints will take a substantial cap hit. So him not being around the team, him not being, there at all, just indicates what I feel like we already know, that he's gone. But the reality is you can't put it on paper just yet because he's helping out the team. I can't remember exactly what the cap hit would actually be if he was to retire, but I know it's quite a bit this year versus if he was to do it next year. So to me, I just feel like all this stuff is just preliminary. I feel like he's already in retired mode. I think as soon as the season is over, at the end, we'll probably hear that announcement. I like Ryan Ramczyk a lot. Y'all know how I feel if you've been rocking with the State of the Saints podcast for quite some time. He is my favorite New Orleans Saint. I know that we look at the offensive line and we don't really pay that much attention to guys unless they're not doing their job. But Ryan Ramczyk has been great ever since he came into the league. He came to the Saints back in 2017. He was the very last pick in the 2017 draft. Of course, the Saints end up getting that pick because of Brandon Cooks, who they traded to the New England Patriots. So we know that, he became a Saint via trade. They were able to utilize him. And we know about that 2017 draft, one of the best drafts, if not the best draft in the entire NFL history. But it's crazy that now it seems like the only player that is a part of that 2017 team, well, players, is Marshawn Lattimore and Alvin Kamara, the two guys that were the offensive and defensive rookies of the year that year. So Ryan Ramczyk, you could tell like something was wrong. You can tell that, they were trying to kind of hide some things, doing a terrible job at it, by the way. But you knew that he more than likely wasn't going to play. You can tell the way that they were operating. You can tell the way that, they were trying to thrust the lineup around, putting Trevor Penning in that spot, getting guys that get signed to the team to possibly play that spot. So Ryan Ramczyk indeed will be missed, no doubt about it. But this has been something that's been lingering for years. Ryan Ramczyk has had his, I think every Wednesday he didn't practice. He was very limited just to trying to get him ready for game time. So this is not a shock to me. I know some people might look at this and be like, oh, no, here we go again. But, I mean, we already knew this. Like, if you've been following Saints news since the offseason, you kind of already knew that this was going to happen. If you paid attention to Nick Underhill, if you were listening to my guy Matt Moscona, if you were listening to my guy Ross Jackson, everybody was kind of indicating the inevitable here. Him being out for the season at least. I just feel like he's already been told the news more than likely is not going to happen, but the Saints are just keeping him on the books so they can save some bread. And he is one of those individuals that is a team player and is doing this to help the New Orleans Saints out. So that's how I feel. Very, very sad. Once again, Ryan Ramczyk out for the entire season, career possibly over. One of the all-time great offensive linemen for the New Orleans Saints in a short period of time. I know some people feel like a guy got to play 12 and 13 years in order for them to be considered great, but this guy was great as soon as he got off the bus. He has been consistent as soon as he got off the bus. I mean, he is one of those players that you knew that you can count on. He was a player when things were going wrong on the left side, when Teron Armstead was missing time, when the Saints were having issues at the left tackle position. You're going to get some production from the right. That was never an issue. Wasn't a rah-rah guy, never really spoke a lot, very, very quiet, really had his talking on the field when he was handling up on his business and putting hands on defensive ends and, and linebackers. But nothing but respect for the legendary Ryan Ramczyk, one of my favorite Saints players, and honestly, probably a jersey that I'm going to purchase in the near future, man. So if this is the last time Ryan Ramczyk ever plays in the NFL, if this was his final season, and he's out for it, I just want to say thank you to Ryan Ramczyk, to all the production that you put in, the pro that you were, the leader that you are, and just leading by example and showing people how to play that right tackle position. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments, and we'll go ahead and we'll go from there. Saints, Doug says, happy Friday, everybody. Jerry giving shouts out, even gave a yeet here. Charlie's giving a shout out to Jamie G. Shouts out to my frat brother, Jamie. Shouts out to my frat brother, Jamie G. I know why I mentioned his name because we just text recently, but Jamie G. I'm pretty sure Jamie G watching this right now. Shouts out to you, Jamie G. But Jerry G. We got Robin. Robin Tube says, hey, TJ, I'm a big fan of the show. Are you going to any Saints game this season? Yeah, I'm going to a few Saints games this season. I'll be in that number. No pun intended. But I just feel like I want to do a little bit of traveling. I mentioned like my dad, he's a season ticket holder. I might go to a couple games there. And also, man, I know I'm going to a couple away games. I know I'm going to the Atlanta game. And I know I'm going to the Carolina Panthers game because Charlotte is 3 hours away, and I'm about exactly 3 hours away from that stadium. So I'll be at that game. And like I said, I don't know. I plan on doing some traveling this season. It also depends on what's going on with Coastal Carolina as well. I got to kind of adjust my schedule around that because I also cover Coastal Carolina, doing a little sideline stuff there and. Doing some writing for Coastal. So, but I plan on going to some games this season. So if you're in the Caesar Superdome or something, you'll probably see. Ain't no problem. You'll see me in there. At TJ, you've had us mentally prepared for this. To be honest, it just sucks to see it play out. Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, and I already pretty much seen the writing on the wall. I mean, everything, all the signs kind of indicated that. And it's one of those cases, I guess, it's like you want to be wrong about it. But when you look at the way that they structured this contract, to me, like I feel like they've already known, like even before like the surgery and all that kind of stuff, and and Dennis Allen spoke at the coach's lunch, or coach's breakfast, I should say, like you kind of already knew what was going on. I feel like they already knew that he wasn't going to play. And I honestly just feel like he's on the books right now because he's saving the Saints money. Him not being around the facility, him not being present at all, just is telling. Like it's not like you're having surgery and you can be around the team. There's a lot of star players that are dealing with surgical issues, but they're still around the team. Like Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan had surgery on his ankle, still was around the team. Like so. I just feel like that was very telling. I just think that he's kind of semi-retired. I think let me take that back. I think he is retired without, the title of being retired. And I just think that, he's doing it to try to save the team some bread. But I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't feel like I am in this case. And I'll gladly, accept the fact if I am wrong, but I just don't see it. I don't see him like just not being around the team at all if he hasn't already made up in his mind that he's retired. Who that nation, don't forget, we got other players to step up. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that's why you are, preparing guys like Trevor Penning. That's the reason why, you're trying to get Tallahassee Fuaga acclimated at the left tackle position. That's the reason why you bring in some of these other players that you had, like, Herndon and all them, what I'm saying? Like, Heron and all those guys, what I'm saying? So, these are the reason why you're bringing in offensive linemen like that. And I look at this depth chart. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the depth chart of the New Orleans Saints, so we can go ahead and call some guys out here. So we can see what they actually have at the left tackle position. I mean, but they got some guys that's going to have to step up. And the Saints did a really good job at adding some guys that are relatively young, that can be able to compete for this position. I mean, we already know about Nick Saldiveri and the New Orleans Saints, utilizing him, at the guard position after they decide to not bring back Andres Pete, and Andres Pete decided to go and look for greener pastures. But let's go ahead and take a look at this depth chart as I pull it up on the screen here. I'll try to see if I can, but I know it's kind of small to see. But at the end of the day, I'll just go ahead and read off some names. I apologize if you can't see it. But you look at you got Tallahassee Fuaga, you got Nick Saldiveri, you got Eric McCoy, you got Cesar Ruiz, you got I don't want to say Shane Lemieux, he's more of a guard. But I mean, you got Landon Young, you got Justin Heron, you got players that more than likely going to be a part of that rotation. I mean, you also have Ali Udo that's out there as well. He played across the offensive line where he was throughout his career. So you have some guys that you can kind of mix and match with that can be able to kind of compensate if Trevor Penning can't step up. I mean, so that is just that plain and simple. Right now, it's Trevor Penning's job to lose. Like the Saints are trying to give him an opportunity to resurrect his career. Didn't work out at the left tackle position, moving you over to the right, have Tallahassee working at the left. So, I mean, this is Trevor Penning's job to lose, but you also have Justin Heron out there that you can put in that spot, and also Ali Udo, who you can also put in that spot. So, this is an opportunity for some of these guys to step up, and this is a position that we're going to be looking at very, very closely because, it's a huge chip on the shoulder of Trevor Penning. I mean, and he has big shoes to fill. Not just him, like not just because of Ryan Ramczyk, I should say, but it's because of the right tackle position. Like if you go back and you take a look over the last like 15, 20 years for the New Orleans Saints, stability has been at the right tackle position. I mean, you think about what John Stinchcomb, right? John Stinchcomb was steady. And then in comes Zach Strief. And Zach Strief was one of the best, if not the best, right tackle in football for at least a 2 or 3 year stretch. And then after him, in comes Ryan Ramczyk, and now Trevor Penning. So the right tackle position, I don't know if a lot of Saints fans have been paying attention to it, but the right tackle position for the Saints has been pretty steady over the last nearly 20 years here. So Trevor Penning is going to have to be able to pick up that blood-stained banner, so to speak, and fight the right tackle good fight here, because he has some big shoes to fill. But I believe in Trevor Penning. I'm not going to allow a couple of years and a little bit of some growing pains to affect the way that I think about him. I still feel like there's some meat on the bone. I understand that we believe that when guys come into the league, if they're not all world right away, we kind of just try to throw them away, just completely throw them out and not even look at their good qualities or try to build on them. But I like the fact that Trevor Penning is playing in a market like New Orleans, because, just researching and covering these segments on a Gumbo Pot, 32 teams in 32 days, it causes me to have to read a lot of articles, and just some of the rhetoric and some of the writings that I have is just so critical of these players, man, when they're so young into the league. So we can talk about them a little bit here on shows like this, but imagine having to wake up in the morning to the New York Times bashing you, and waking up to some of these other newspapers around the country of considered big media markets. Imagine that. So I believe in Trevor Penning. I believe in him. I think that he'll get it together. I'm not saying that he's going to be all pro. I'm not going to say he's going to be all world, but I think that, he can have a salvageable career. That's the way I feel about that. And another thing, like this is, going into training camp. Training camp will be next week, and you think about some of the competition that is going on. I mean, we look at the quarterback position. We look at what we're thinking about with Jake Haener, Jake Haener and Spencer Rattler. These two guys right here, competing for that backup job. I just look at these two individuals, man, like two young guys. This is unheard of right here. This is unheard of, that you have like guys this young into their careers, and they're competing for a backup job. Usually teams try to find seasoned veterans to go into that spot. I would try to put Nathan Peterman in there, but but in all seriousness, I don't think he's gonna make the team. It's not gonna happen. All right, we know it's a two-man race for backup right now, and it's Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener. So we already know that. Feel free to put your comments down into the chat, man. If if you got something to say, feel free to put your comments down in the chat. There's a little bit of impromptu on a Friday afternoon. I know, it's Friday. People excited, probably want to go out, probably want to have a good time. But just thought that it would be a good, a good time just to kind of just talk about it. Just recently happened. Had to kind of process it, man, because, it's just sad. Like, it was more than likely going to happen, but it's just sad when you hear it out loud. Such a talented player, man, not being able to finish his career on his own accord. Well, I gotta put this disclaimer there. Possibly can't finish his career on his own accord. That's pretty sad, man. That's pretty sad stuff right there. Like, anything in life, that you want to be able to finish. And when there's like roadblocks in your way, like, it is always going to be in your back of the mind. What if? What if this didn't happen? What if that didn't happen? I think about the legendary running back Gale Sayers. Gale Sayers, for like a 6-year stretch, like, was the best player in the NFL, playing for the Chicago Bears back in the day. But he played in an era where, they didn't have modern medicine and this modern technology in order for him to be able to heal in a certain way. When you tear your ACL back in 1960, 1960, 65, 66, like, man, that's a death sentence right there. And I can remember him like talking about his career, and he almost had tears in his eyes. He said, I just wish, he said, that I was in a different era. He said, I just wish that, there was, modern medicine was better during that time. And I believe him, man. If that was to happen, man, Gale Sayers would have been the GOAT, like the true GOAT. And only few people know who Gale Sayers is, and most of the people know it because of that movie called Brian Song. Because of him and his relationship with his good friend Brian Piccolo back in the day. But Gale Sayers was that guy, and you hate to see players that don't finish it. Like Bo Jackson was another. Bo Jackson, that like football wasn't even his top sport, like baseball was, but he still was a beast in that. You wonder if he never had that hip injury, like would he have what he would have been, and so many others that you've seen over the course of time. I mean, even I know this is a rival guy, but even Luke Kuechly, Luke Kuechly with all those concussion issues that he had to retire early, but put together a Hall of Fame type resume. Probably could have been considered one of the best linebackers of all time. So you just hate to see guys not finish their career on their own terms. So hopefully, this is one of those situations. Maybe, next season things can get better and maybe he can reconsider or something. But it's sad to see that we're in this situation right now. By us, I mean looking at a player that is just so talented, possibly have to walk away from football. Pretty sad stuff right there. But trying to see what else I guess I could talk about. Not too many comments here today. Not too many not too many comments here today on the State of the Saints podcast. But nevertheless, we talked about Ryan Ramczyk. We talked about the quarterback battles for the New Orleans Saints, of course. But one thing that bothered me, to be honest with you, I know we've been talking about the Saints possibly, adding safety to the depth chart. We talked about them possibly having Justin Simmons. But man, looking at Eddie Jackson get signed to a 1-year deal by the Baltimore Ravens today, that right there is like, man, like Eddie Jackson, like that could have been what he could have been on the Saints, like a 1-year deal. I'm pretty sure y'all got some money under the couch cushions for that. But I don't know, man. Maybe this is one of those situations where they're okay with trying to see what they have at the safety position. Maybe they like what Jordan Howden has been doing in all season. Maybe they're trusting, Tyrann Mathieu. Maybe they're trusting him. They feel like, oh, we're straight at the safety position. But I do feel like you need yourself, some ball hawks. You need somebody that's out there that's young that can fly around the field, or a veteran that can get his hands on the football, get it back to the offense. So I'm still not really fully sold on the Saints depth chart at safety. I still think Tyrann Mathieu has something to offer. But you look at like what Ugo Amadi and Jonathan Abram, JT Gray, maybe Miller Bradford, that's the young guy out of TCU. He's been looking good. So maybe the Saints like what they see in Bradford. I don't know, but I'm looking at the safety position and I'm wondering if guys are going to be able to step up. Tyrell says, hoping the Alvin Kamara deal gets done. I agree. I want to see the deal get done. I know a lot of people kind of looked at, the subliminal that he put out there on Instagram as a sign of, some things to come, which are positive. It was a picture of him. It looked like he was walking out of the tunnel in the Saints uniform. So a lot of people got excited when they saw that because maybe his agent and the Saints organization are working on a deal. If that's the case, then that's great. I already made a show a couple episodes ago about Alvin Kamara and how I feel that Alvin Kamara is one of those individuals. If you try to play him or feel like you're going to smoke him out by, prolonging the process, and he won't, like he'll just come back to the team, like you're sadly mistaken. Like he doesn't strike me as that type of person. Like Alvin Kamara strikes me as a person like I'll sacrifice this right now for the greater good later. Like he just strikes me as the individual. And that's a dangerous individual when a person is not like driven by money, when they got their ducks in a row, when they not sitting up here like exhausting their expenses to a point where they gotta come to practice, they gotta come play. Like it seems like he really takes care of his money. He really makes really good decisions. So when you have a player like that, you can't just dangle, a fine in front of their face and be like, well, if you don't show up, we're gonna fine you. So what? Like they ready to sit down. They ready to like step away for a little while. Like They're going to stay in shape. They're going to be in that gym, but at the end of the day, like, you ain't going to play me like this. You're going to give me my money. So hopefully, the New Orleans Saints can negotiate with the representation of Alvin Kamara, and, they can get that sign, sealed, and delivered sooner rather than later. It feels, Slimmy, that our 2017 offense and defensive rookie of the year are unhappy. Yeah, that is crazy, right? Two of those cornerstone players of that great 2017 class was, that was a great class, by the way. But these two individuals, Alvin Kamara and Marshawn Lattimore, don't seem really happy about the situation. But, I just think that these guys want to win. I mentioned this is 2017. So that's about their 8th season, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So 8 seasons right there, so, and these guys are starting to get older, and they understand, like, man, what the football shelf life is. They know that they have more days behind them than in front of them. When you start talking about year 9, year 10, especially at the running back position, you ain't got that much time left. So guys are trying to get paid, and they're looking for a legacy. And if you have a coach that can't get it out of you, if you have a coach that can't win football games, if y'all still winning one, losing one, like, that's extremely frustrating. Like, nobody wants to deal with that. And especially, if you're not doing all the right things to help this team win. But you got to give the Saints some credit in this regard. They have decided to walk away from some things that were kind of in place for a very long time, bringing in Clint Kubiak, having him come in with a different philosophy, along with what Dennis Allen did on the defense, bringing in a new staff back in 2023. So they're doing the right things, in that regard. I just think that when it comes to players, I think that you just need to get a little bit younger. I think the Saints need to look in that mirror. Once again, I mentioned this on the last episode. They need to look in the mirror and realize what they are. And when you realize what you are, you can actually change it. I just think that the Saints have a false sense of reality of what they are right now. Like, just because you don't use the R word, which is rebuild, doesn't mean that you're not rebuilding. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't rebuild. I'm not saying tear the whole team down, but take the commitment, take the time to go out here, scout these players around the country, get your scout team up, have them scout some of the best players that you can possibly get around the time that you're picking, and build a team around it. Like, we see this all the time with teams like the Green Bay Packers. I just put a video out on Gumbo Pot, 32 teams in 32 days, focusing on the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are one of the best teams when it comes to player development, drafting guys. Like, you think about, like, they have 2 really good tight ends, right? So they drafted Luke Musgraves. He's a tight end out of Oregon State. They drafted him last year, right? So he was playing really well. He goes down. Then they draft, then they got Tucker Kraft, another tight end. He comes in, like, when Luke Musgraves go down, and, like, they didn't drop off. Then you think about Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, and Jaden Reed. Like, all these guys, like, homegrown guys, So I think that the Saints need to take maybe a page out of the Green Bay Packers book and draft players and work on their development and get coaches, a coaching staff that can actually develop players. Baltimore Ravens are another team that do that. So I know that we like to look at free agency and fall in love with the free agency frenzy when that's going on. But I just think that the best way that you can win consistently is developing players. Because if you get a bunch of players, like, just think about this right now. I go back to the Green Bay Packers. If you got Jaden Reed, who was a rookie, Christian Watson going into his 3rd season, Romeo Dobbs going into, I want to say, his 2nd or 3rd season. Those are all rookie deals right there. That's all rookie deals. So you have time. If you have one position that lacks, you can get a free agent to come to you. And at the same time, like, you can build something around your quarterbacks and all that, because you are developing players the right way. That's the reason why the New Orleans Saints found so much success in 2017 after they drafted Marcus Williams and after they drafted Marshawn Lattimore and Ryan Ramczyk and Alvin Kamara and and Trey Hendrickson and all these other guys. That's why they won so much. Is because they can actually bring guys in free agency to be able to kind of plug up positions that they're lacking, All the while you had Drew Brees on the roster, still out there slinging that thing. So you were able to pay guys. You was able to pay guys like Michael Thomas. You were able to pay some of these other players, like Cam Jordan, to keep them around because you had such a really good draft class. Now, if the Saints didn't have a draft class like that, who knows? You probably want to see some of these guys that are still on the team, still with the team. So I just think that is about player development. I think they need to take the time out to try to really do their due diligence and scout these players, bring some players in and put some coaches in here that can develop them. And if you can do that, then you're going to win consistent. I don't care what they got. Like, you can probably look over in free agency and see one of the rival teams of the Saints. Oh, they got such and such. But guess what? Like, you got some players that are going to help you win for a longer time than that player. Like they signed them to a big deal, but because you signed that player to a big deal, that's going to hurt them by them not being able to get something else that they need, especially if they're not drafting well. So to me, I just feel like, you have to come to grips with who you are and what you are at this particular time. They are a team that's going to be competitive, but you have to ask yourself the question, are they a championship team? Are they a championship team? And I just feel like if you're not structuring your team, if you're trying to hold on to guys and all that kind of stuff, like, I feel like you should be a championship team. If you're not a championship team, then why are you holding on to these guys? Nostalgia is not going to generate success. Nostalgia is not going to generate success. What's up, TJ, Jerry, and Dana? Who they? What's going on, Pelican Nola? Thank you for being here. But final thoughts before we get up out of here. First off, thank you all for being here. But my final thoughts are very, very simple. It's very, very sad, Ryan Ramczyk missing the entire season. I do have to mention there were a few guys that were actually on the PUP list. The Saints also placed tight end Juwan Johnson, defensive end Tino Passanio, linebacker Nephi Sewell, and defensive end Chase Young on the active PUP list. They could return at any time during the preseason. And you also have Chris Olave that was placed on a non-football injury list. He also could return at any time. And Bub Means, the rookie out of Pitt, he is off of the non-football injury list. So he should be ready to kick off training camp. So that's some good news right there. I'm not really concerned about, some of these guys missing time like Chris Olave. Like I said, it was 9 injury lists, so that's a good thing. Bub Means, he definitely is a guy that Saints fans are looking forward to seeing, believe that he can achieve big things. Nephi Sewell played really well at the linebacker position in little spots last season. We got high expectation for Juwan Johnson, of course. And Tino Passanio, we know that he tore his Achilles, so he's more than likely going to be out for the season too. So sad stuff about Ryan Ramczyk, but I mean, it is the next man up mentality. The Saints, I feel like they were trying to prepare for this. They brought in a lot of new faces. They brought in a lot of players that can actually compete for that right tackle position if Trevor Penning can't take it and grab it by the horns. So looking forward to seeing what the New Orleans Saints are going to do in 2024, and looking forward to NFL training camp in Irvine, California. Of course, we know they're doing some renovations out there on airline. So the Saints had to move to California. I know some Saints fans aren't happy about it because they want to see the team practice, but you got to do what you got to do. Maybe getting away from familiar territory could help. The fact that guys have to be around each other all the time like this, when you're doing training camp at your home facility, guys are going home away from the facility. So by, being in close quarters, it kind of causes guys to develop relationships, establish friendships that they probably wouldn't have had or probably wouldn't have had time for. So looking forward to that, man. Looking forward to training camp, bringing it to you here on the State of the Saints podcast. But thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast and the Gumbo Pie Sports podcast, those that are watching it live. And I'm asking everyone if you can subscribe to the Gumbo Pie Sports podcast channel. We went over 500 subs on that channel. I'm extremely excited about that. Working really hard to try to build up that channel. We're doing a segment 32 teams in 32 days. Today we covered the Green Bay Packers. Tomorrow, we'll put out a video about the Detroit Lions. That's on the way. So if you haven't checked out any of the episodes of the Gumbo Pod Sports Podcast, give it a click, give it a view. Tell me what you think. I would really appreciate that. Previous episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. Shouts out to everybody in the chat right now. Shouts out to everybody at home. Everybody is probably riding, listening to this right now. I'm extremely humbled by it. Thank you for choosing yours truly to listen to. And like always, all I got to say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.